Let's be real, last year you probably doubted Robert Lewandowski. Barcelona were having a mediocre season, disappointing their fans in every single competition, and Lewandowski was often one of the players who got blames. He scored only 26 goals in 49 games over all competitions, and while that is great for most strikers, nobody can deny that those are below average numbers for Robert Lewandowski. He was already 35 too, so many people did truly believe that he was slowly falling off. However, we're in April of 2025 now, and Robert Lewandowski has totally flipped the script. He has 40 goals so far in 45 games in all competitions. That's 14 goals more than last season in 4 games less. That is what you call a comeback. But let me show you something even crazier. In the 22-23 season, Lewandowski scored 33 goals in 46 games over all competitions. And remember, that was considered a successful season for both Barcelona and Lewandowski. Barcelona finally won La Liga again, and Lewandowski had managed to become the Pichichi. But those numbers aren't anywhere close to what Lewandowski is doing now, and we're only in April, mind you. Lewandowski isn't just back to his old level, he's back to his peak level. We've never seen him like this before in a Barcelona kit. On top of that, it's not like he's just scoring tap-ins, because that is what people often criticized him for in the past. This season though, he's scoring genuine bangers as well, and also at crucial moments. In a lot of big games for Barcelona this season, he's been the one to help Barcelona get that breakthrough. He leads his team forward and he's 36. Last year, people were doubting him, now he's helping Barcelona win a possible treble at that age. I know it's risky what I'm going to say now, but Lionel Messi at that age was goofing around in Miami and is still doing so. He might actually not have the same longevity that Lewandowski has. Same goes for Luis Suarez. What was he doing at 36? And Karim Benzema as well. He's grabbing some quick cash in Saudi Arabia, and he is someone who people always praise for his late peak and his longevity. It's downright scary. Robert Lewandowski is doing things, putting in numbers that we have never seen before from someone that age. And he's doing it in the big moments as well, with actual class. And we're only just in April. The best might be yet to come. So what is the reason for Lewandowski's crazy comeback? As you probably know, it's Hansi Flick. He has built a system that perfectly suits Robert Lewandowski. He was at his peak in 2020 at Bayern Munich under Hansi Flick, so it is no surprise that we're seeing him like this now at Barcelona as well. Listen, I have a lot of respect for Xavi, and he did get the best out of Lewandowski sometimes, but the numbers don't lie. He is performing better under Hansi Flick, and that is mainly because there's more movement now than there was back under Xavi. In his time in Barcelona, there was more emphasis on keeping the possession, and there were less runs being made in attack. And last season, that was definitely a huge problem, combined with the departure of players like Dembélé and Busquets, and all of the injuries too. There was not nearly enough verticality. Midfielders didn't make runs into the box, the wingers were static, and consequently, Lewandowski was often on his own, and it was way too easy for defenders to shut him down. Again, I don't want to disrespect Xavi, but that's just the way things were for a big chunk of last season, apart from some exceptions like that one game away against PSG. However, under Hansi Flick, movement is a central part of the system. Look at Rafinha. He technically plays at left wing, but in reality he'll swarm around in the attack. The same goes for the attacking midfielder. Players like Dani Olmo and Fermin Lopez, they are constantly making runs and swarming all over the place. Even the deeper midfielders, Pedri and Frenkie de Jong, even them, they're also frequently going into the box. That means that Barcelona's attack is way more unpredictable than it was last season. And it also gives the possibility of making those quick combinations through the center of the pitch. Those are all things that have helped Lewandowski get back to his best level. His intelligence and technical brilliance allow him to thrive in this kind of system. Hansi Flick really managed to build a system perfectly suited for his qualities. And the reason that it works is also because of Barcelona's high press, because of the offside trap, and because of the effort. This was not a simple fix. Hansi Flick had a master plan, and the players have executed it to perfection. That is also why we have seen Barcelona become better and better throughout the season. This is the primary reason why Lewandowski is this damn good right now. We're seeing the 2020 version of him all over again because he plays in the same system, with a set of players that is perfect for that system to work. But Lewandowski's comeback goes beyond tactics. We also just have to acknowledge the amazing squad that Barcelona have. This is maybe a hot take, but on paper, I doubt there's any team in the world that's better than Barcelona right now. Sure, Real Madrid do look scary in attack and defense, but their midfield lacks the kind of player that Toni Kroos was last year. Barcelona, on the other hand, don't lack any profile if you think about it. There is a perfect mix between dynamic players making runs, players like Lewandowski, Rafinha, Fermin, Ferran, and creative players who are picking out passes like Lamine Yamal and Pedri. Even the fullbacks have a crucial role at Barca these days. Almost every attack, Alejandro Balde is crucial, and Jules Koundé has never had this kind of attacking prominence before. Barcelona have a complete squad right now. That was not the case last season. But what's funny is that we actually have more or less the same players that we had back then. We even lost Ilkay Gundogan, who was probably our most consistent player. So how does this turnaround make sense? Well, injuries. or no injuries, technically. Last season, players like Pedri, Frenkie de Jong, Gavi, and Alejandro Balde all struggled with injury problems. As a consequence, Barcelona lacked creativity in the final third, and that was a huge problem for a player like Lewandowski, of course. I'm telling you, without those injuries, Hansi Flick wouldn't have been at Barcelona right now, simply because Xavi's results would have probably been good enough not to get fired. So that lack of injuries right now in 2025 really is one of the reasons why Barcelona have been performing this well, and why Lewandowski has been able to reach his best level again too. But why do Barcelona actually have this little injury problems at the moment? That's probably because of the work that Hansi Flick and the staff put in behind the scenes. They don't leave any stone unturned when it comes to player recovery. They've even done a genetic analysis on the muscles of players like Pedri to prevent any issues. And face it, without players like Pedri, Barcelona would create less chances, they would have more problems controlling the game, and that would affect Lewandowski's output. Hansi Flick's injury management is top-notch, and it is one of the main reasons why Barcelona and Lewandowski have been this good. On top of that, Lewandowski also can't afford to slack off because Ferran Torres will claim his place if he does so. Ferran is not as good as peak Lewandowski, but he damn sure outperforms a lazy version of him. That also helps get the best out of Lewandowski, that competition element. And that's also something that he didn't really have in the previous seasons. Hansi Flick has turned Ferran Torres into his scariest version yet, which has indirectly helped Lewandowski also get better because they compete for the same spot. This is yet another underrated aspect of Barcelona's success this season. Everyone gets a fair chance, everything is based on performance, and if you slack off, you will get punished for it. I mean, look at Ansu Fati. Apparently, he hasn't been showing the kind of level in training that Hansi Flick expects from him, and that has translated to Ansu getting almost 0 minutes in these last few months. But if we look at Ferran Torres, we're seeing an example of someone who earned this spot in the team. I mean, in the second leg of the Copa del Rey semi-finals against Atletico Madrid, Hansi Flick benched Robert Lewandowski. That was a huge statement. It showed that anyone can get benched. Everyone is rewarded for his efforts. That means that Lewandowski is constantly being pushed to his limits, day in, day out. Ferran Torres and Hansi Flick are watching him. He has to be at his best. But Lewandowski isn't just performing at his best, he's also doing so at the age of 36. That is why we cannot ignore the role of Anna Lewandowska in his comeback. Who's Anna Lewandowska, you might ask? Well, she's Robert's wife. And as it turns out, she's a great dietist and a dedicated athlete herself as well. Robert Lewandowski himself already has a great mindset, but just realize that that is the person that he spends most time with. He lives in the perfect conditions for him to stay fit at 36 years of age. And I mean, we can all agree that players like Johan Cruyff and Diego Maradona would have gotten more out of their career if their environment had been better. Environments, that input of people next to you, it matters. And in Lewandowski's case, well, he's basically only surrounded by dedicated athletes. There are the other players, there's Hansi Flick's staff, and even his wife shares the same mindset. Of course, Lewandowski was always going to have supreme longevity. Even this is one of the factors in the equation of Lewandowski's recent greatness. And also, one of the most important things for a striker is confidence. And that is something that is at an all-time high right now for Lewandowski. Last summer, there were some doubts around him. That's just the blatant truth. But when Hansi Flick came in, he immediately told Lewandowski about the game plan. He trusted him. He knew about the pitfalls ahead, and he knew how to deal with them. And eventually, Barcelona ended up having some lesser periods as well. Definitely around November and December, and Lewandowski for sure wasn't always at his best in those games. But guess what? Hansi Flick kept trusting his players, he turned his team into a united group, and as a consequence, because they got through those hard times, we're now seeing a team full of confident players. And for attackers like Lewandowski, that is huge, because it means that you don't hesitate in front of goal, and you don't hesitate to take penalties. I mean, look at that recent game at home against Dortmund. Lewandowski scored twice, and those goals were by no means easy. I generally think that an unconfident Lewandowski wouldn't have scored those goals. So this is definitely yet another reason for his rise this season. And if you add up all those different factors, it's not surprising that Lewandowski has been this good this season. He's 36 and he's about to outscore Kylian Mbappe in La Liga, who's technically in his physical prime right now as a 26-year-old, and he's 10 years younger than Lewandowski, which is just crazy. And if you take into account how effective Lewandowski has been this season, then there is no reason why he wouldn't be able to do the same next season as well. Next season, Lewandowski will definitely still be a world-class striker too, so there's no reason for us to have these anxious debates about Victor Gyökeres or Alexander Isak. The best striker in the world is probably at Barcelona right now. Sure, at some point Lewandowski will start falling off because of sheer aging, but that point isn't near as close as most people think. I really do believe that he might be able to keep up this level for another 2 years, and then he might start falling off. Lewandowski really is the perfect athlete, and he plays in the perfect system for him too, and given that Hansi Flick will probably stay at Barcelona for a few more years, Lewandowski is probably going to actually build himself a great legacy at Barcelona. His current contract runs up until 2026, but just imagine, what if he ends up spending a total of 5 seasons at Barca? That would be longer than Neymar, with maybe more goals and more trophies. That's right, in the best case scenario, we will be calling Robert Lewandowski a bigger Barca legend than Neymar within 10 years from now. That's truly a possibility if you ask me, and in that case, people would also be considering him as the greatest striker of our generation, and maybe even the third best player behind Messi and Ronaldo. That might sound a little far-fetched, but think about it. Having multiple Pichichi Awards, La Liga trophies, possibly one or multiple Champions Leagues, combined with everything that happened back at Dortmund and Bayern Munich, that's football legacy right there. Lewandowski is writing a new story after already having one of the best careers in modern football. If he actually keeps performing in the coming years, which could happen given his fitness level and Hansi Flick's probable continuity, then he might eventually end up being considered as the greatest number 9 in the history of world football. That is the scary truth about Robert Lewandowski. However, as a Barca fan, I am obliged to admit that whatever happens in the coming years, Lewandowski will never touch prime Luis Suarez. In terms of longevity, nobody messes with Lewandowski, but when it comes to who was the best in their prime, Luis Suarez was a different beast. Similar things can be said for some other strikers as well, so if Lewandowski ever gets considered as the greatest, it's mostly because of stats, longevity, and legacy. Nevertheless, if you think back about 1 year ago when Barcelona were struggling, I don't think many people expected Lewandowski to become this good again. He definitely proved some people wrong, including me actually, but I don't mind that at all. So, that was it for today's video. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed it, and feel free to share your own opinion on Robert Lewandowski in the comments down below. And of course, Força Barça, Força Robert Lewandowski, and have a good day.